Hi guys, it's Kiri. I hope you had a great long weekend for everyone in the States that had an extra day off, and happy Tuesday to everyone else. Today I want to talk about one of our values at Bobsled, which is get it done. And I thought of this because last week my mother-in-law asked me to bring Billy into her office to meet all of her colleagues, and she works at a university, and so I took Billy in to say hello to everyone and was walking around this office, and it's been 2 years since I was at a office last. And so walking around with all the stacks of printer paper and the partitioned cubicles and everyone putting up their photos of their family so they feel more at home. And it made me wonder, do I miss this? Because at the time when I worked in an office I didn't really mind it, but sort of thinking back now, there's definitely a lot of it that I would be happy to leave behind. And another thing that I've been thinking about is the conversation that a few of us had in the random channel on Slack about productivity, and everyone was sharing their productivity hacks from reading this article that I shared. And so it kind of got me thinking about how we do have a lot to think about in terms of personal productivity when we work online and remotely. And that really is what our value of get it done comes back to. So I'm sure when you tell people about your job at Bobsled, I'm sure you've heard people say something like this: wow, you work at home? I could never do that. I would get way too distracted. And I think that there's two issues with that statement. One is that it assumes that we don't get distracted when we work at home, because we do. And the other issue is with that statement is that it's more likely that the opposite actually happens, that work distracts you while you're at home. So as for the first issue around getting distracted, this is always going to happen, and it happens in physical offices too. I mean, I brought my baby into someone else's office and everyone had to stand up and say hello to the baby and say that he was cute, and then get back to their desk and resume whatever task they were working on. And so there's a lot of studies that talk about how long it takes to switch tasks, and when you go switch from one task to another, or you stop working on a task and come back to it, it's really, really inefficient. And I tried to look up what the most recent study says about this. I found one saying that it takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back to a task that you were previously working on. So that's just, it's crazy to look at that kind of inefficiency when we're switching tasks. And those kind of distractions definitely do happen at home, but I actually think that in most cases we have more control over them at home than we do when we're in an office environment. For example, you can put your phone on silent and stop any notifications coming up. You can put some focusing music on without offending anyone. You can shut your door if you have an actual room to work from at home. So yeah, I think that we do have more control over our environment at home. The second issue about the statement, I could never work at home, I'd get too distracted, is that you probably find that it's harder to switch off than it is to switch on once you've figured out what you need to do in the mornings to get into work mode. Things can start to happen really quickly, and since you don't have to commute to an office, you can go from 0 to 100 really quickly once you've figured out what your morning ritual is that helps you get into the zone. So some of the things that you guys mentioned in the conversation in the random channel was Lazar mentioned changing his waking up time to wake up at 6 instead of 8, and using the first hour for self-improvement, reading blogs about PPC, etc. So waking up earlier. And then Stefan actually said that he finds that he's more productive in the evenings, 10 till 12 a.m. And that's when he doesn't get any phone calls. It's when the neighborhood is quiet. He can work outside on the balcony. So everyone's a little bit different there. Some other points were Stefania just starts work 15 minutes after she wakes up, because she knows that she gets really can't focus after 5 or 6 o'clock. So it's just, all of those comments really come down to knowing yourself and knowing your own energy flow throughout the day. Tackling the hard tasks first thing in the morning, and a couple of people also mentioned about email being a big time suck, so only checking email at certain points throughout the day and restricting how much time to spend on email. So anyway, there's a lot of knowing yourself is pretty important here, but I find the issue is usually comes with switching off at the end of the day and carving out what is work time compared to what is home time or family time. So a big benefit of working remotely is that when it's appropriate, when it fits with the team and what is going on with your clients, you can mix up your schedule when necessary and take care of personal things during the day and catch up on it later. And so that kind of creates this ultimate flexibility, like, oh, if I don't get this done now, I can get it done later, because you're used to being able to adjust your schedule here and there. But that can kind of create a slippery slope where you don't actually know when work ends and home begins. And I'm personally finding this a big challenge while we're in Australia because of the time difference. So I'm trying to get out of the light here. Because of the time difference, during the daytime here, everyone is at work, and so you kind of feel like, well, you may as well work while everyone else is working because nothing else is going on during the day. So start doing some work in the day, and then at 3 p.m. that's when everyone in Europe sort of comes online, and then at 8 p.m. that's when everyone in the US sort of comes online. And so I find myself having this day that drags on from like 11 in the morning until 10 at night, and that's not healthy, and that's not a good use of time either. So granted that this is a short-term situation, but that's a personal struggle that I'm having right now, is being able to delineate between what's work time and what's home time. Because even when we were back in New York and working on a normal time schedule, I would still see my laptop at 8:30 at night and think, oh, I need to send that email, or I forgot something that I was supposed to do today, and just pull out the computer and get started again. And it doesn't, it's not, then it takes a little while to switch off from that again. So with our flexibility, it can create a big distraction in our lives as well. So what can we do about this, and why did I want to bring this up in the first place? One, in terms of productivity and getting things done, it's important for us to be able to get things done for our colleagues and get things done for our clients and do what we say we were going to do in the time frame that we were going to do it. So meeting our promises to each other and our clients is at the core of what we do. We have to get our tasks done. So recognizing what makes you productive and what doesn't, so whether that's the time of the day that you're productive, or switching off your emails and only checking them 2 or 3 times a day. So that's the self-reflection of your habits. And then the other thing to recognize, it kind of goes back to what I was saying about my work day right now stretching out like 11 hours, is that a task expands to fill the time that you give it. Meaning that if you give yourself a project and you give yourself a week to complete that project, a lot of the time you finally tackle it on the last day. Or back when you were in college, you'd have a whole 3 months to do an assignment and you'd finish it in the last week. So it's kind of human nature. If you can give yourself some rigidity in your day and say, this is the hours I'm going to work, I'm going to be really specific, I know that I'm only productive for this period of the day. If you limit the hours that you work to that time, then you'd probably end up being more focused and productive in those hours, and then be able to really enjoy the time that you have in the evenings with your family, with your friends, in your leisure time. So I hope you find this interesting. It's something I've been thinking about in terms of how, as a remote team, we get it done and deliver what we say we're going to our colleagues and clients. Have a great day.